My husband is an extremely religious and traditional guy, and he's not a fan of couples introducing each other to the family unless they're ready to get married. So we only met my family for the first time after our engagement, and that's when I met his as well. I didn't grow up like this, but it's truly something that doesn't bother me, or else I wouldn't have married him. My brother used to date a different girl every month for 2 years straight. My husband didn't mind about my brother's dating life, but he'd flip out if anyone even thought of allowing my brother to let any of his flings visit family gatherings. My brother wasn't planning to, but he got mad over how heated my husband was over this and told me over and over that who he chooses to bring over to family events is none of my husband's business. For the past 1.5 years, my brother has been dating this girl and they're pretty serious. I've met her, so has my husband. She seems like a very nice and sweet person. They've also expressed how they may get engaged soon. The drama had started during the Christmas holidays. My husband and I told my parents that if they host Christmas in their house, they better notify my brother that his girlfriend isn't invited. My parents were mad. We requested that, called us unreasonable, but ended up following through. My brother wasn't too pleased, and he was mad that we didn't include his girlfriend on Christmas Day. I reminded him that she will be allowed to come once they make it official, and it's not personal against her. But he was still mad and he said this was the last time this would happen. Last weekend was my mom's birthday, and due to the fact she spent her birthday alone with my dad for 2 years straight, she wanted to do something special this year and host a nice party. Before the party, my husband reminded my mom of the no girlfriend rule. My mom flipped out at him and so did my dad, and they told us we're being extreme with this and they have no right to dictate who enters their house in family events and that my brother's girlfriend will tag along whenever she wants whether we like it or not. My brother came to the party with his girlfriend and he acted like a champion for defeating my husband on this one. My husband was mad the entire night and wouldn't speak to a soul. Before we left, he only told my brother, "You must feel proud for acting like a witch." My entire family who was invited to my mom's party was calling us idiots for having this rule in the first place. I'm just supporting my husband. So am I the idiot? My word, who do you and your husband think you are? Of course, you're the idiot, both of you. If something offends your husband, he should be the one staying away, not dictating who can and can't go to family gatherings. And then your husband has the absolute nerve to call your brother names? What the actual? If I were a member of your family, I would stop inviting you and your husband to any party regardless of who else was going. That's exactly right. If you had a small and intimate dinner party at your own house, the guest list might be more restricted. But this is a party for your mom in her house, and she's expressed that she wants the girlfriend to be there. It's none of your husband's or yours business who your brother brings along. If your husband doesn't like it, he can stay home. You are the idiot, and I doubt that your brother was acting triumphant any more than your husband was acting like a spoiled brat who didn't get to make the other kids follow his rules on the playground. Your husband was using his religion to do what religions love to do, enforce his own particular misogynistic and relational mores on other people, and you enabled it. So your hubby called your brother witch. It's the most religious thing to say to someone. I believe that what you meant is that your husband is extremely controlling and psychotic. Religion and tradition have nothing to do with this. He's brainwashed you into thinking this is okay behavior at all. You're the idiot, but your husband's a bigger one. My 52 female daughter, 26, is a huge animal lover, so is her husband. They have 2 dogs and 1 cat. They're always covered in dog hair, and surprisingly the cat doesn't shed as much as the dogs. They have those roll stickers to clean dog hair from their clothes, and they do, but in their house, their carpets and couches need to be vacuumed every second day to keep them free of dog hair. I've got to admit though, they keep their pets very clean and groomed. After the dog walks, they have a ritual where they clean the dog's paws and hair that might have touched the ground. On Saturday, we had a little family get-together in our backyard. My daughter and her husband were present. My husband, my sister, her 2 daughters, their partners, and my brother and his sons. One of my brother's sons married his girlfriend of 1 year just before Christmas. At some point during the gathering, they started having a conversation about pets. One of my sister's daughters has a dog. My daughter has her pets. And as the convo went on, my nephew's wife made it clear how much she despises dogs and cats and how she hates animals approaching her because she hates animal fur and can't stand when people have their pets that free in their houses. My niece with the dog surprisingly agreed with the nephew's wife despite having her own dog. So then, the cousins started talking about how they love pets but they can't stand them on furniture and how they low-key find them gross, etc. My nephew's wife pointed at my daughter and said, "Yeah. Look, for example, I'd never be able to visit my daughter's name's house. She has 2 dogs and a cat. I can't imagine the dirt and fur in that place. To which my daughter aggressively replied, "Who said you'd be welcome in the first place? I didn't invite you, nor do I plan to." My nieces immediately told her that she was being rude and that my nephew's wife had a point. My sister then told her that she couldn't be serious, that she wouldn't invite people into her house because they don't like pets. My daughter insisted, "I wouldn't invite them. Why would I invite someone over if they think my place is gross?" My sister told her that she could make 1 or 2 adjustments for her non-pet fan guests for a few hours. My daughter said, "I could, but I don't have to and I don't want to. That leaves us with the fact that none of you are ever welcome in my house." I called my daughter out on her behavior and told her she was rude. She told me to shut up and I'm an idiot for defending people who pointed at her and insulted the way she chooses to live in her house. She then left with her husband. My husband also said I was the idiot, and I had no reason to call out our daughter because she was just defending herself. So am I the idiot for this? You are the idiot. Your daughter didn't start this rudeness, but she sure as heck finished it, and actually a lot nicer than most people would have. If you point at someone and say, "I hate your pets and I think your home is gross and filthy," then you don't get to be offended when they say you're not welcome in their home. Yep. If someone said this to me, I would have the same reaction. My pets are my family. That does not mean my house is filthy, but you can stay away from my house if you think my family is inherently gross. This was a completely unprovoked attack on the daughter. However, I think she handled herself well considering. Also, I don't seriously hope that Op thinks her daughter will want to be around her anymore after just feeding her to the wolves like that and then getting mad at her when she dares to try and defend herself. I've never been able to understand the people that think other people can be rude and disrespectful and you're just supposed to absorb that crap like SpongeBob SquarePants. No standing up for yourself. Just stare blankly into the middle distance. It's such a terrible way to love your life. You are the idiot. Your nephew's wife, a family newcomer with an attitude problem, and your sister and nieces, apparently the crapsters in your crew, were attacking your child in front of you, maliciously slandering her. Rather than defend her, you dogpile on her with them. You even admit your daughter goes out of her way to keep her dogs groomed and her house vacuumed, and that's still not enough to keep her from being berated on all fronts at a family barbecue completely out of the blue just because nephew's new wifey hates animals. And if I was your daughter, I wouldn't invite any of you over to my house. Op, do you like your daughter, or are you just offended she's not squirting out people pups? You are the idiot. Please call your daughter and apologize before you lose her. I got pregnant with my son Julius, 28, about a month after my 18th birthday. I tried to do my best for him and he got into a good engineering school. But at 19, he got his then girlfriend, Isa, pregnant and they had Annabella together. I've been the one who has mostly raised her and I have full custody. Her mother, Isa, got deported to her home country, but they spend July together and FaceTime every night. After graduation, Julius got married to his girlfriend, Katia, and they have 2 wonderful boys together. Unfortunately, Annabella lives with me and not with them. The thing is, Julius never spends any time with Annabella. He doesn't even call say goodnight, but she loves him so much. So it's like once a month, he'll show up with a box full of toys, spend the day with her, and then go back to his family. It hurts her so much that he doesn't spend time with her because he's her hero. I'm just grandma. And no, he doesn't act this way because of his wife. Katia would love to have Annabella move in with them. She once brought up the idea and she went on about all the things they could do together. She would love to be her stepmom, calls her princess, sweetie, and so many nice nicknames. The only reason they haven't is that Julius has said she should stay with me. A few days ago, Julius told me that he and Katia were planning a trip to Disneyland in August. I said to him that Annabella would be so excited and he should tell her on her birthday, and he just blankly told me she was not coming, and the trip was for his boys. I made it clear to him that he needed to bring her on the trip, and he just called me an idiot, which he's never done before for trying to control him. I admit that I was a bit controlling in my reaction, but I don't think I went that far. Am I the idiot? So he just pawned his child off on you for eternity. Does he send you child support? Does he make any actual effort to be a father to his daughter? Not the idiot for your question, but you should sue him for child support and make custody arrangements for him to take his daughter legally. It's not gonna be too much longer before his daughter realizes her dad wants nothing to do with her and she's gonna grow resentful. I'm thinking he wants nothing to do with his daughter because she's a girl and he has a perfect family with 2 boys. I'm sorry, but what's custody like? Legally, I'd be concerned about the what if of something happening. He obviously doesn't care for her and him being the one in control of those decisions sounds scary. You can't force your son to be a good dad or a good human being, but not the idiot for trying. I suppose you don't have the money to take your granddaughter to Disney World. You're not just grandma, you're Annabella's main guardian. Your son abdicated his position as a parent. Is therapy an option? Her dad has already hurt Annabella. She subconsciously knows she is least loved. I think the moment your son refused to take in Annabella, he should have been cut out of her life, but I get that it's easier said than done. I don't get how his wife can lie beside him at night. The last man I would want to build a family with is one who abandons his child. You are not the idiot. He seems to enjoy pretending his little tryst with Daisy never happened and you were there to clean up his mess so he never had to assume any responsibilities for her. Sad. I'm so sorry. I think you need to accept that your son doesn't love his daughter and never wanted her, that he's never going to take it live with him and that you're going to be the only parent that kid will have. My daughter, teen, just recently cheated with her sister's, nearly adult, boyfriend, nearly adult. To say this was a shock was an understatement. My oldest was completely heartbroken and shattered that her sister did that to her. Not to mention, she was also heartbroken by her boyfriend. On the other hand, my youngest is now saying that they're dating and that it couldn't be helped. They fell for each other and her sister should try to be understanding. I was stunned that she dared to say such a thing and sent her up to her room while she tried to console my older. She can't stand to be in the same house as her sister and I decided the best thing for now is to give their relationship some space. My girls have two different dads, so I told my younger one's dad what was going on and he understood and agreed to take her for a few weeks. My mom, however, has been giving me a lot of crap for what happened. She says that this is not the way to handle the situation and I'm going to make my daughter think I don't love her as much as her sister. She says that since I'm the adult, I shouldn't be choosing sides and shouldn't have kicked her out especially because she didn't want to go. I'm feeling a bit conflicted about this. On the one hand, I have siblings myself and could never imagine doing this to one of them. If they did that to me, I would never forgive them. And if this was someone else like a friend, I would tell them never to let their sister back in their life because she has no respect or value for them and was willing to throw away that relationship for something that may not last. On the other hand, she's my daughter and I don't want her ever to think I don't love her or prefer her sister. I also want my kids to have a good relationship with each other but I can't pretend I like the person she's become to do this to her sister. I'm trying not to let the anger of her actions cloud my judgment but I've never been angrier at one of my kids. I know she's a teenager and teenagers do dumb things, but I would never have done this even at that age. Plus, what kind of signal would it send to my older daughter if I just overlooked what her sister did to her? I've asked my family and friends for their opinions but while some agreed with me, others disagreed, and I just don't know what's right. I just feel so conflicted. Sending her to her dad's while you console your other daughter is a sensible thing to do. You are not the idiot for separating your daughters while emotions are still high and giving them both a break from each other. It depends on how you follow this up though. They both need to rebuild the relationship and you can be a crucial part of that process. I have no advice on the younger and the boyfriend though. What a crap show. You are the idiot. I'm sorry but even if your older daughter was hurt, her feelings don't get to dictate where her sister gets to live. All that does is show the younger one that if she screws up, she's out of the house. You don't kick your kid out over boy trouble. You are the idiot. You are a parent and you have picked a side. Time for you to admit you messed up. Go pick up your child and get into family therapy ASAP. Your child may never forgive you. Are you ready for that? You think her sister's betrayal hurts your child and yet you haven't considered that you've betrayed your own child. Their relationship is damaged. It may be beyond repair. Neither has any more right to live in their family home. The consequences of her actions will be long and hard. As a parent, don't make it harder. I had a bad childhood with an abusive mother, and I'm trying to do better with my kids. Since I didn't have a good example to follow, I second-guess myself a lot. My young child was behaving badly today. He kept going into the bathroom and playing in the water, then filling containers and spilling them. We have tile throughout the house and the water makes it slippery. I made him clean up his mess repeatedly and told him to stay out of the water. He has a water table outside to play with, but wet floors are a hazard. Sure enough, when I was doing laundry, I heard my daughter, toddler, start crying. I rushed to her and the floor was wet and she was flat on her back with a bump forming on her head. My son had been playing with water again the second I turned my back. I put him in his room for timeout and after, I told him he needed to hug his sister and tell her he was sorry because it was his fault that she got hurt. I told him that I'd warned him that someone could slip and fall and he didn't listen to me, so his sister was hurt. After he apologized, I sent the kids to go play while I made dinner. Later, I was telling my husband about my day as we do and told him what happened. He said I mishandled it and it could be considered emotional mistreatment. I hadn't considered it from that angle and now, I'm not sure. I thought it was important for my son to understand the consequences of his actions and to know that even if he didn't mean it, he was responsible for his sister's injury. But I don't want to be like my mother, so am I the idiot for telling my son that it was his fault that his sister got hurt? Not the idiot. That's not emotional mistreatment. You're just correcting your son because his sister did get hurt because of him. You're just teaching him that actions have consequences. I'm curious though how the husband would have reacted had it been the other way around and the son had been hurt due to the sister's misbehavior. What exactly did your husband want to happen besides this banal problem that you solved? I think you handled this just fine. It was his fault that she got hurt. Telling him a fact is not emotional mistreatment. Jesus Christ, your husband needs to get off the internet and learn what words mean.